Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hello, my name is Sam Cawthorn and welcome to the series of Industry Authority. You know, over the next 12 episodes, we're going to really unpack what exactly does it look like for you to be an industry authority of your industry, no matter what industry that you are a part of. I believe that there is a formula and a system in order for you to stand out from the noise. And as we all know, there is so much noise in every single industry. Now, let me give you an idea a little bit more about who I am and what I do. Now, as you can see, I've got dark skin because my mum is Indian, my father's Scottish, and I'm one of 11, huge family. And I was actually born and raised down in Tasmania, which is that little island underneath mainland Australia. And so I went up through school and then I got kicked out of school for dealing with the wrong company. What I believe is that proximity is power, that you are the average of your 5 closest friends. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about, you know, what that looks like, because as industry authorities, we do hang around with the right type of people that will elevate us. There's a thing I like to call borrowed credibility. When we use the credibility of other experts and other thought leaders and other authorities out there to elevate ourselves. And that's exactly what I did. So all throughout, you know, sort of leaving home and really getting kicked out of school, I then had an amazing government job. And in that government job, I had a major car accident. The police said it was a 206 kilometre, that's about 120 mile, head-on collision with a semi-trailer truck. And as you can see there, I lost my arm. I also wrecked my leg as well. And I went through a massive transition in my life all throughout that period to not just bounce back to where I'd been and go back to the same job, but I needed to learn how to bounce forward into what I could become. And I'll tell you a little bit more about my whole theory around how everyone was talking about bouncing back. I started talking about bouncing forward, and then suddenly I became an industry authority in this whole area of resilience and overcoming adversity and positive psychology. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this whole journey of what does it look like for you to become an industry authority in your area of expertise. So it was quite interesting. I then started to tell my story about having a car accident, and then I started to tell my story in schools and then in corporate, and then before you know it, I've actually now spoken in 36 countries all over the world. I've now spoken on stage with the Dalai Lama, with Richard Branson, with Michael Jordan, with Bill Clinton, all just simply learning how to become an industry authority of my area of expertise. But one thing I have noticed is that, first of all, we need to start with our strengths and motivations, which is pretty much so exactly this first episode here in Industry Authority, which is all about identifying exactly what are your personal strengths and what are your motivations in order for you to be the person that you really want to be. I believe it all starts from our intrinsic motivation. Now, we might have heard of a guy by the name of Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek wrote a book called Start With Why. His TED Talk is in the top 10 most watched ever TED Talks. And he created what he likes to call the golden circle. Now, this is my version of the golden circle, and it's this: what, how, and why. Every single person knows exactly what you do. Hands down, we all know what we do each and every day. We know what our products are. We know what our services are. We all know what we do. Most of us know how we do it. How do we create the results that we create each and every day? What is our differentiating value proposition? But my whole obsession has been around this whole area of why. Why do you do what you do? Like, why do you wake up of a morning each and every day? What is our cause, our belief, and why should anyone care? You know, most people think that our why is to create profit, earn money. But money is a result. It always has been a result, but there's no cause or meaning tied to that. So why do we do what we do? Why do we even wake up of a morning in the first place? Why do we want to become an industry authority? Why do we want to stand out? Why do we want to make a difference? Why do we want to contribute? So this particular episode here is all about your why and your own personal motivation and how can you stand out and why you want to stand out as well. You know, over the last few years, I've had the most amazing privilege of releasing a number of books. I've now released 6 books all up, and my latest book, which is called Bounce Forward, How to Transform Crisis into Success, got in the top 3 of the international bestseller, even the New York Times as well. And one thing that my publisher asked me to do, which is Wiley, which is the second largest business book publishing house in the world, Wiley asked me these 3 questions. And the 3 questions is this: why this? Why me? Why now? And so the first one there is why this? Like, why this message? Why this? Why are you delivering this product? Why you've got this services? Why are you doing this? Like, why this? We need to know exactly and have solid clarity and being able to articulate in the most strongest of way exactly why you do what you do. Why this? Next one there is why you. Why should we get from you? Why not someone else? Why should we take out our wallet for you and why not someone else? Like, why me? Like, why you? Why can't I go to someone that's a little bit more experienced, or maybe you've got more expertise than you? So why this topic? Why are you delivering this? And why is this relevant today? Why now? Why is this relevant today? Why not tomorrow? Why not last week? Why not last month? Why not last year? What about in 6 years' time? What about in 6 months' time? What about in 6 weeks' time? Why now? So in a way, guys, this is our pitch. We need to be able to articulate with absolute solid clarity our why this, our why me, our why now. And later on, I'll tell you a little bit more about my why, particularly when it does come to Bounce Forward, and why I am the authority of this whole area of Bounce Forward, and why this is relevant today. You know, it was quite interesting. I had the most amazing privilege of winning this award, and I was the Young Australian of the Year. And so this is from my home state down there in Tasmania. And so here I am, I travelled through to the capital of Australia, which is, you probably heard of it, it's Canberra, yeah? And so here I am in Canberra, and I'm about to meet the Prime Minister of Australia, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, at his house, The Lodge in Canberra on Australia Day. But I'm thinking to myself, what can I do in order for the Prime Minister of Australia to remember me? Because as you guys know, Prime Minister probably meets hundreds of people every day, as if he remembers everyone that he meets. So I had one of my other arms on. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this arm. This arm here is what they like to call a myoelectric arm. You guys probably heard of it called a bionic arm. This arm here is worth over $120,000 US, and I can program my arm with my iPhone 5S. Seriously, it works via Bluetooth and also Wi-Fi as well. So as I think, it'll then operate. So I can move each individual one of my fingers. I can move my wrist and my elbow as if it's all still there, but it's not. And so here I am, I can move everything all within my bionic arm. So I've actually got 8 arms all up. How many arms do you have? And so with one of my arms is like a cosmetic arm. So my hand looks exactly the same as my normal hand. So if I wear a long sleeve jacket on like I am today, you can't notice at all that I've got a prosthetic arm. It looks exactly the same. So get this right. Here I am, I'm about to walk up to the Prime Minister of Australia, Kevin Rudd, and he didn't notice at all that I had a prosthetic arm because my hand looks exactly the same as my normal hand. So I walked up to the Prime Minister of Australia, he sees me, so he comes over to me to come and say hello and also to shake my hand. As the Prime Minister of Australia went to shake my hand came off. into his hand. And so Glenn McGrath, Adam Gilchrist, Rove McManus, a few other celebrities from Australia, they were there and they saw what was happening and they just started cracking up laughing. And so then the world's media came in, taking photos, everything like that. And so the Prime Minister of Australia is just standing there holding my hand. And in the Australia Day address, the Prime Minister of Australia, he said this. He said, look, today we're surrounded by very significant Australians. We have Aboriginal elders, we have community leaders, we have sports heroes. But nothing can ever beat the intro I had to Sam this morning, because when you meet Sam, it's an extraordinary experience, because when you shake his hand, he'll leave his hand in your hand. And the Prime Minister of Australia, in his Australia Day speech, then looked over to me and he goes, and thanks, Sam, I'm still recovering from therapy today. You know, one thing I love about that story is I wanted to stand out. I wanted to make sure that the Prime Minister of Australia never ever forgot that moment that he met Sam Cawthorn, that moment that he met me. And right at the moment when we've got so much of a saturated market out there in our industry, and whatever industry that you're in, whether you're in health, whether you're in retail, whether you're in services, or maybe you're in personal development, whether you're a coach or mentor, whatever that you might be in, one thing that I have found is that today we are in a more saturated market than any other time in history. And one other thing as well is that we notice a fraud a mile away. That even though you might have the gift of the gab, even though you might know how to communicate really effectively, if we don't feel, if we don't sense that you're congruent with that, we will literally put a big red mark against your name. So my encouragement to you is this, is that what do you need to do to make sure that you're coming from an authentic why? What do you need to do to genuinely be obsessed about your customer and your client's pains and their problems? Because in all reality, it's this. Value is not value unless it addresses the pain point or problem of your target market. Let me say that again. Value is not value unless it addresses the pain point or problem of your target market. So for me, I need to make sure that my message, that my actual content, my product, my services must have a congruency with my why. And so as I'm going along this journey all throughout this whole industry authority series, I'm going to continue to come back to this why. I'm going to really make sure that you are congruent with your why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you wake up of a morning each and every day? What is your cause, your belief, and why should anyone care? So I'm now going to very quickly go through exactly what this looks like in positioning yourself as a market leader, as an authority of your industry. Because I think at the moment there's just so much noise in our space. You know, like for example, let me give you an idea of my particular story, right? So I had this car accident. I lost my arm, I wrecked my leg, so I'll never be able to bend my knee ever again. You know, it's hard for me to go for a jog. Actually, I can't run. I can't ride a bike. It's hard for me to, walk up and down stairs. It's hard for me to sit in a car, in a theater, in a plane. I'm 6'3", and my right leg physically.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.